Alright guys, real question. How much do you think the President of the United States actually makes? Go ahead, throw a number in your head right now. Is it $1 million? $2 million? Is it more? Is it less? Because if you don't know, once you hear the real number, you might be surprised. Guys, being president is not a normal job to say the least. This isn't a clock in, clock out situation. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Even when they're on vacation, they're still working. On top of all of that, the president is technically doing three things at once. They are the head of state, the head of government, and commander-in-chief of the military. And guys, let's be real. A lot of people consider this job the leader of the free world, which is a massive responsibility. Well guys, I won't make you wait any longer. I'll tell you right now what the base salary is. It's $400,000 a year. And to make matters worse for them, that number hasn't changed since 2001. On top of that, there's only a $50,000 annual expense allowance and a $100,000 travel budget. Not to mention a $19,000 entertainment budget, which I had no idea even existed. But if you add all of that up, that's a total of $569,000 in total potential annual compensation for the president, but any unused allowance money has to actually be returned. But I will say that you at least have benefits like living in the White House, full-time Secret Service protection, Air Force One travel, Marine One helicopter rides, and a private White House medical team. But with all of that being said, here's also something interesting. The last 4 presidents, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, Barack Obama, and George W. Bush, they all made that exact same $400,000 salary with no raises, no bonuses, absolutely nothing. And because inflation has gone literally crazy over the last 25 years, that $400,000 does not go nearly as far today as it did back in 2001. So guys, technically in real buying power, modern presidents are actually earning far less than presidents did 20 years ago. That being said, let's rewind for a second. When George Washington first took office in 1789, he made $25,000 a year. I know that sounds tiny, but adjusted for inflation, that's about $896,000 today. In 1909, the salary was raised to $75,000, which would be about $2.6 million in today's money. Then, in 1969, it increased to $200,000, which is roughly $1.7 million in today's money. And then lastly, in 2001, it doubled from $200,000 to $400,000 a year, where it's basically stayed there ever since. So just to reiterate this fun fact with you, some early presidents actually earned more than today's president when you adjust for inflation. So now, let's talk about something people generally always ask. Do presidents even need the salary? Well, a lot of them are already wealthy before taking office. For example, during his first term, Donald Trump pledged to donate his president's salary. Reports say that he directed portions of it to agencies like the National Park Service and Homeland Security, although there is debate about the full total that he potentially would have contributed or even did. Even earlier than that, Herbert Hoover and John F. Kennedy both donated their entire salaries while in office. For them, it was more about public service than the actual paycheck. But here's actually what's really interesting. The real money often comes after the presidency. Once they leave office, former presidents receive an annual pension of about $246,424 to the dollar, and that's as of 2024. And it actually adjusts for things like cost of living. Another fun fact, they also get funding for office space, staff, and lifetime Secret Service protection. If they've previously served in Congress or another federal role, they may qualify for additional pensions too. But that's just the baseline. The big money comes from book deals and speaking engagements. For example, Barack Obama and Michelle Obama reportedly signed a book deal worth tens of millions of dollars after leaving office. Things like speaking fees for former presidents can range anywhere from $100,000 to over $400,000 per event. Other things like corporate board roles, streaming platform production deals, and foundation partnerships also bring in serious income for them. So while the in-office salary is fixed, post-office earnings can actually skyrocket. And in many cases, former presidents make far more after leaving the White House than while living in it. So basically, you could think of presidency as becoming a brand amplifier. Now, here's another thing that most people don't actually know. The president actually pays for more than what you think. While they live in the White House rent-free, they still pay for personal groceries, dry cleaning, and other non-official events. If the first family hosts a private gathering, that isn't a state function. They get billed for the food. Even meals prepared by the White House chefs for personal use are charged to them. So it's not like everything is completely free. There are definitely personal expenses that are coming out of their pocket. And another important point to point out, the Constitution protects the president's salary overall. Congress cannot increase or decrease the president's pay during their term. That rule exists to prevent political manipulation. Imagine if Congress could punish a president financially for decisions that they didn't like. That would honestly probably be chaos. So the compensation structure is intentionally stable. It's built for independence, not incentives. Now, just for fun, let's compare that $400,000 to corporate America. CEOs of Fortune 500 companies often earn tens of millions of dollars per year. Some university presidents and nonprofit executives make salaries close to or even higher than that of the President of the United States. Meanwhile, the President oversees a $6 trillion federal budget and the world's largest military. So, guys, from a business standpoint, the salary is actually modest relative to their responsibility. The power and influence are massive, but the paycheck is nowhere near CEO level. Also, presidents have to disclose their financial assets publicly. That transparency is pretty serious if you ask me. They often put investments into blind trusts to avoid conflicts of interest. That means that they don't directly manage their own investments while in office. So financially, there are restrictions that don't exist in the private sector. It's one of the most regulated compensation setups in the world. So guys, just to wrap up everything that I've mentioned in this video, the base salary has stayed at $400,000 for nearly 25 years. When you adjust it for inflation, modern presidents earn less than several of their predecessors did. But lifetime benefits, pensions, book deals, and speaking engagements can turn presidency into a long-term wealth accelerator. But the real financial upside often begins after leaving office. So while $400,000 a year might not sound very huge, the bigger story is what happens next. When you consider the pressure, global responsibility, security risks, and zero off switches, it honestly hits different. There are CEOs out there that are making the annual salary of a US president even before they eat lunch for the day. And unfortunately, the president can't stay exactly quiet and just switch companies or even switch roles. This is ultimately a fixed compensation job. And before I end this video, I'll just let you know another wild comparison. Members of Congress make about $174,000 per year. That means that the president makes a little bit more than double a typical senator or representative. But on the other hand, Congress can trade stocks with disclosure, write books while in office, and build outside income streams in ways that the president can't. The president is far more restricted financially. So while the salary is higher, the flexibility is actually lower. And that's a pretty interesting trade-off most people don't think about. And just remember, the salary also is fully taxable. There is no special president tax exemption. They pay federal income taxes just like everyone else does. Depending on their state of residency and other income, they could also owe state taxes. So that $400,000 gets trimmed down pretty quickly. The headline number is always bigger than the take-home amount. So finally, guys, just think about this from a career perspective. Most people chase jobs for income growth. The presidency is almost the opposite. It's prestige first and then money later. The real financial value is what it unlocks after the term ends. Again, things like books, documentaries, global speaking tours, influence, networks, that's where the multiplier effect kicks in. So the presidency isn't the highest paying job in America, but it might be one of the most powerful long-term brand builders on the planet. And I'll just say, if at the beginning of this video you guessed that maybe they earn $1 million or more, now you officially know the truth. Guys, I want to thank you for watching this video all the way through. If you learned something new today or you like information like this, I would really appreciate it if you could smash that like button, put a comment down below, and subscribe. I make new videos every single week, so stay tuned and come back to watch more.